Turn the key off. CF Moto. La CF Moto. CF Moto Ibex 450. The GOAT. Hey guys, it's Alan, the Fireman 1028, and today, this is a beautiful Sunday morning. We're down here at Intial State Park, down outside of beautiful Whitmire, South Carolina, and I'm with our brand new, and I mean brand spanking new, 2026 Ibex 450. And this is what we're doing today, is that this is going to be our first real ride. If you saw my first video, which is, I'll put it up here, just go look back a couple videos. I mean, I literally pulled it out of the dealership, rode around the neighborhood, turned around, came back, and that was it. Hadn't touched the bike since then. So now this is our first real ride, and I was like, you know what, what's the better place to take it than our favorite place in the world, Intial State Park, and go rip it on some trails. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to put it through its paces. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about our plans for it and everything else, but really kind of getting a good first ride and just kind of see how it does. I mean, like I said, I hadn't even seen one of these things in person before I went to go pick up to buy it. Watched a couple videos, read a couple articles, and that was about it. So this was really my first ride, and just to kind of get my baseline impressions of what I feel about this bike. So, if you see anything that you like in these, like I said, we're gonna have a ton of content coming out with this. I mean, absolute ton of content coming out with this bike here, and comparisons and everything else. So if you see anything that you like, comment, subscribe. Subscriptions are the absolute ultimate compliment to me. And let's go ride, and let's see what this thing will do. All right, guys, so we are getting ready to set off. It's early Sunday morning, beautiful, cool, crisp, about 45-degree Sunday morning. We're down here at Intial State Park again, and like I said, this is going to be our initial off-road test. And we dropped our PSI down about 20 PSI, and that's literally it. I know nothing else about this bike. I know how to turn off the front ABS, and that's the extent of it. So this is going to be really a kind of a learning experience for both of us. So all right, guys, so before we get started, let's get our verse of the day. Today's verse is Psalms 31:24. Be strong and let your heart take courage, all you who wait for the Lord. Psalms 31:24. All right, let's fire it up. Yes, sir. Let's turn off our ABS right here. Off-road mode, which is awesome. That's right there. Now, again, if you shut the bike off, let's turn the key off. Turn the key off, CF Moto, and turn the key back on. Guess what? It's back on. So it does not remember your settings. So you have to do that if you shut the bike off, you got to do that every single time. Now, let's turn it off. Off-road mode. Now, if you just hit the kill switch and turn it back on, it keeps your setting. But if you key it off, it's going to lose your settings. So just keep that in mind. All right, so like I said, this bike has, how many miles we got? We got 8 miles. We got 8 miles on the bike. So we're still in break-in mode, which doesn't mean much to me. But we're going to take it nice and easy. I don't think off-road mode changes the throttle response. Not like our KTM 390. I can't really tell. I'll have to do some more research on that. Like I said, it's kind of a pre-dawn. This is a pre-dawn ride. Came out here last week with that Moto Guzzi V85 and had an absolute blast with that. And it kind of pre-dawn hours. I was like, you know what? There's nothing holding me back from doing that. Second gear throttle does seem a little snatchy, at least initially. And maybe that's just kind of getting used to it and get my hand and brain kind of calibrated. Let's try third gear. Third gear seems it's a lot less snatchy. But this LED headlight, I can tell you this LED headlight is real nice. This engine's got a nice sound to it. Let's try this low speed third gear. Roll on. Look at that. Look at that. Little CF Moto. Now, Alex, I don't know anything about this bike yet. I don't even know what brand tires those are. I know they're cheap, and I know we're going to change them. I can tell you that now. I'm already eyeing a set of, what's that? The Mitas, oh shoot, I lost the name. The Rouse. no, the Moto, the Rows, whoever makes those. I've always been a big fan of those. And even though we literally just got, this is Sunday, and we just bought this bike on Thursday, I've already got plans. Oh, I got plans. If you know our Project KTM killer, you know that I love a good comparison that has no business being compared. And that's what I got planned for this one already. Oh man, I got something planned for this one already. It's gonna be so much daggum fun. Whew. I lost it right there. Now, again, I'm gonna take it really easy on this bike. One, because I'm by myself again. My son's not quite the morning person. And number two, I don't have any protection on this bike. The only protection this bike has right now is these cheap stock handguards, which are plastic. And they don't look like they'd take much of a hit. And even Dork on the road said that they don't, they broke on him very first time out. So this is just more, like I said, of an initial, kind of get a feel for the bike, get a feel for the engine characteristics, get a feel for the suspension. Like I said, tires are going to be short for this world. And again, we're not pushing it hard because, like I said, we're literally, we now have probably, what, 9 miles on the bike. So like I said, this is just an initial, I just could not wait to get out here and give this thing, kind of see how the standing position feels. See how the thing takes some bumps. Oh, hadn't even adjusted the suspension either. See how the headlight does, which is actually working really good right now. No, like I said, this is a very initial first ride. Hadn't even touched the suspension settings, which might have been not a bad idea to do. I can hear a lot of stuff hitting this skid plate, or whatever you want to call it. It's really not a skid plate. It's a pretty cheap looking piece of thin aluminum, and it's going to be replaced very soon. I've already got a call in to T-Rex about there's Trail A. I've already got a call into T-Rex about replacing that. Oh, lost my camera. Look at that. Hello, camera. Why don't you come on back up here, baby? Yeah. Why don't you come up here and ride with me? I don't know when I lost that, but guess we'll find out on the footage. All right, let's try Trail A again. Look at third gear takeoff. Dadgum. Third gear takeoff. Again, I hear a bunch of stuff hitting this little skid plate, which is to be expected. Here's Trail A, or the blue trail again. We're going to take it a little bit more spirited this time. Still not too much. The front end actually feels pretty good, but this rear end, that rear tire, definitely feels a little soft, and I can feel it kind of getting a little squirrely. Now I know the 25s, they had a tire that was like it was a knockoff of the Pirelli Scorpion rally tire. This tire here, they changed it. I'm really not sure. Heck, I don't even know who the manufacturer is. It's still some, Chinese tire. And again, the whole bike's Chinese, so I can't really, kind of hold that against it. But, I got a travel trailer and a bunch of trailers, and we call those tires that come on those we call them China bombs, for good reason, because you don't think about them until they explode. So, I'm sure there's literally millions of those tires being produced, but I want something a little different, and plus something a little bit more aggressive too. This bike's gonna be doing just as much off-road as it is on-road, so I want something that's got a little bit of stank to it. You know what I mean? A little bit of stank to it. So far. And again, we're not pushing anything, and maybe as we get a little bit more comfortable, maybe we'll push it a little bit more. And the sun, I need the sun to come up too. That's helpful. I like the headlight. I can tell you that, I like the headlight. This low seat height is really confidence inspiring. It's probably the best word for it. you know, it's got good ground clearance, yet it still has a good seat height. Now, as you can tell, this second lap, definitely pushing it a little bit harder. This engine is very flexible, very flexible. And I'm turning RPMs. I'm turning RPMs, these low RPMs. But I don't think the KTM, the new KTM 390 could do, to be completely honest. I don't think it could. I think you'd have so many flameouts. Whereas this thing is very comfortable at 2,000 or 3,000 RPM. And maybe it has something to do with the, you know, being a parallel twin and, you know, a 270-degree crank parallel twin versus a single, you know, a big single. But honestly, like I said, I really like the power characteristics of the twin versus the single. Just simply because, like I said, it just feels more usable. Now I like singles. I mean, I love our 300L, our CRF 300L. There's A again. Let's go do that again. I love our 300L. It definitely doesn't hold it back on off-road mode. Again, these tires feel a little squirrely on this dirt. Let's go do that again. Again, we got to keep our RPMs low. We're still in braking mode. Guys, I'm telling you, this feels like it's just a big dirt bike. It really does. The suspension's nice and, you know, it's very predictable. It soaks up the bumps well. I haven't bottomed it out yet. With the seat position being as low as it is, it's standing up is comfortable. The brakes are, you know, even in off-road mode, the brakes are real confidence inspiring. The clutch is nice and light. It's got a good engagement point. Let's see here. Yeah, brakes feel really good. They really do. Again, I can feel these tires kind of squirreling around, but again, you can't expect too much out of a stock tire, especially one produced in China. And again, maybe there is no difference to it, but maybe it's just as much mental as it is anything else. And you know, if that's the case, that's the case. It's no big deal. I'm okay with that. We all have our own internal bias. I definitely smell the new. Oops, killed it. Wrong button. Still learning the bike. I definitely smell the new kind of burning off the bike. Again, this thing's got 11 miles on it. So this is about as new as it's going to get. That third gear is so usable though. A little bit of feathering on some of the slower speed stuff. Dadgum. It'll chug. I mean, it'll chug at 2,000 RPM. You back there? You good? All right, let's go. Man, I love the power characteristics of this engine. Oh. This feels like a big dirt bike. It really does. With a parallel twin. I wish the pegs were a little bigger. And again, I ain't taking the rubber inserts out. I don't even know if they are rubber inserts. I could definitely see some, we'll stop up here. We'll stop at the end of A and we'll get off and look at the bike. There we go. Sun's coming up. Let's hop off and look at this some biscuit. All right. Hey, my camera stayed for once. All right, so there are rubber inserts in our foot pegs. I didn't even pull those out. The one thing I can feel initially, I'm gripping the tank a lot right here, and I'm probably going to need to get some tank grip right there to kind of, to be able to kind of hold on to it. But these stock tires, like I said, these are not the Pirelli Scorpion tires like the old ones were. This is kind of a different, design. Not as aggressive, I don't think. And they're really fine, to tell you the truth. Actually, I like these better because the Scorpions had that straight across block design, and it's open all the way through. And what that would do is, like on loose sand or on mud, it'd allow that rear end to kind of move laterally, whereas these have the blocks in the middle, so it kind of keeps it from really going too far right there. So I do like that design. Still replacing them. The parallel twin, I'm really impressed with that parallel twin so far. That feels really good. The sitting position feels really comfortable. Easy to stand up, easy to get moving. I really like that. I like that a lot. No kid, it doesn't have cruise control. And we're going to take Trail C. Headlight's great. Visibility's great. Again, the only thing I've seen so far is the tires. I mean, the tires about the only thing that let me down. I do have the CF Moto upper crash bars that go over here coming, and I have the tall rally seat. So this is the standard seat. Little pink accent. So I've got the you see where I'm gripping the tank right there. Definitely need some protection right here. I almost scratched the poop out of that. So I've got the upper crash bars and I've got the tall rally seat, which instead of having this big swoop right here is going to be kind of almost like a flat bench, and that's going to give like another inch and a half of ground clearance of room for me to raise me up a little bit and kind of keep my feet from being as tight to these pegs. So those should be coming very soon. So Trail A, thumbs up right now. Let's go hop on Trail C, or yellow, or I don't know what it is now. I really don't. I help, Sully and I helped change the colors, but I still don't know what they are. Let's go hop on Trail C. Again, we only had a couple hours this morning. I can tell you at least initially, third gear is very usable. I mean, again, yeah, having that rally seat would probably help out a bunch, get me up a little bit higher. But this stock one's not bad. Again, the conditions are real dry. Again, I hear stuff pinging off the quote-unquote skid plate, which ain't much of a skid plate. I think T-Rex Racing is going to be my go-to for skid plate and hand guards. I really like the Urbis ones like we have on our other bikes. I just can't seem to find what I'm looking for, so that wasn't the trail. I heard one of the reviews talking about this bike and said that, there's no one reason to buy this bike, okay? There's not one thing. Now, the parallel twin, the 270-degree crank parallel twin, I would almost argue that is a reason to buy this bike. This engine is an absolute peach. And there's, I got to do some more research on it, but I swear this looks and feels a lot like the small parallel twin that KTM was developing. And I don't know if they just if they developed it and then they sold it to CF Moto, or this is a ground-up design for CF Moto. I don't know. I'd love to find out, but I can tell you, it's a peach. It really is. I'm not interested in their sport bikes. I don't do that anymore. This is what I'm interested in. And like I said, I waited to get this bike here, and mainly I waited for the 26. What's the difference between 25 and 26? From what I can tell, in my Google foo, nothing. The only difference between 25 and 26 is one number, is the number between 25 and 26. There's no difference. There may be some, manufacturing differences, packaging some stuff, and wiring, and maybe some small parts, but there's no appreciable difference between a 25 and 26. But when I contacted the dealer I bought it from, is Big Toy Superstore down in Little River, North Carolina, and guys, I would highly recommend them. Those guys are awesome. They really are. Jason and all the folks over there, they're really cool. They got a huge selection of CF Moto stuff, and CF Moto's got a sport bike. It's a 675 triple. Where have you seen a 675 triple before, huh? But they've got a huge selection of bikes, and they don't dick around on the pricing. Okay, we bottomed out right there. That was kind of a hard hit, but we bottomed out right there. Oh, bottomed right there again too. So they got a huge selection of bikes. But anyway, so as far as their pricing and everything, pricing was spot on. I called them. So actually, somebody on one of the Facebook groups had recommended them and said, hey, they were easy to work with. So I contacted them back in, I don't know, April or May. And they said, hey, we don't have any more 25s, but we should be getting 26s, late in the year. We can locate you a 25 if you want, but it might take us a little bit of time, or you can wait for the 26. I said, you know what? I said, I'll wait for the 26. And so I went ahead and put a deposit on a 26 so I could get one of the first 26s when they came in. And got a call a couple weeks ago, say, hey man, your bike's in. Now I was concerned, MSRP is like 65, 6,500, 6,599, something like that. And I was concerned that the tariff prices, oh, that's a big bump. That the tariff prices would kind of put this bike out of the not affordable range, but the deal that it is. That the tariffs would almost like the 3090 Adventure R would turn this from a heck of a deal into it's an okay deal, but for $9,000-$10,000, I can go find something else. And that's what happened with the KTM. KTM passed the tariff 100% onto the consumer. I paid it on my 390 Enduro R, which actually I think I got mine in before the latest round of tariffs came in. So I got mine. I paid $7,400 out the door for my 390 Enduro R. That has been at the dealership for 2 months. But again, that'll be its own story. But when I called him and I said, hey, okay, I know there's new tariffs. What's my out the door price? And he said, price has not changed. I said, are y'all absorbing the tariff? And he's like, no, CF Moto is. So, you could look at, there can't be that much profit margin on a bike that costs $6,500. So, the first thing made me think is that there's some, maybe not shenanigans is the right word, but there's some Mother China subsidizing these bikes and absorbing the tariff to keep these bikes competitive price-wise. And if that's the case, I don't like it, but it worked until I get to until I get to 100,000 plus subscribers. Price is definitely a consideration. I'm funding everything that I do. I'm funding it myself. YouTube doesn't pay a lot of money when you don't have a ton of subscribers or view hours like some of the bigger channels do. So I'm paying for everything myself, all the mods, everything else. I do have a couple companies I'm working with, but like I said, everything else just gets coming out of pocket. So I don't have a ton of money to spend. So I'm definitely a price conscious shopper. And as are probably everybody watching this video here. If you're watching a video about a $6,500 Chinese motorcycle, you're probably a price conscious shopper too. And like I said, so that was a tangent. So I didn't have to pay the tariff. So like I said, CF Moto absorbed the tariff, so there was none that I had to pay on my part, which is awesome. So it kept the price at $7,100 out the door, and I ended up paying like $7,500. But that included the rally seat, that included the upper crash bars from CF Moto. So that's a heck of a deal. You know, I made a video a while back, and I'll post it right up here, about the 390 Enduro R being the best value in motorcycles today. And I might have to amend that statement. You know, again, at least from initial impressions, and put this Ibex 450 in that category. Now, I do feel that the throttle's definitely a little, you know, it's a little jumpy. I heard there are some, you know, some software upgrades that can take care of that. I have hooked the app up. I just haven't really played with it much to see. I know my friends at Kuber have an LM device and a decap for this, but I'm gonna hold off on that. I'm gonna hold off on that until I really have a chance to put it through its paces. The only reason I did that on the 390 Enduro R so fast is that the flameout issue was such a concern. I mean, that bike was almost unrideable in its stock form. It really was. So that's why I went ahead and did the DCAT and the LM device, and it didn't even solve the issue. It's better, but it didn't solve the issue. And that's when we went to the Fuel X, and it still didn't solve the issue. And then it had the warranty issue, which means it's been out of service for 2 months. So I can't do a daggum thing with it. But guys, I'm telling you, for the $6,500, $7,100, whatever it is out the door, you know, your state may vary as far as taxes and everything else. This is a stupid deal. Let me stop here. Oh, I like that off-road mode. I really do. My camera's holding. Look at that. That thing never holds. So as far as, like I said, off-road mode, one button. I went to fill it up with fuel this morning, and surprised to find out it's 87 octane. If this was a KTM, that'd be 93. But they got the compression down where it runs just fine on 87 octane. Now I have seen, so I was looking at Kuber's dyno chart on this, and the surprising thing with their, you know, their Lambda device, and it works just like the, you know, just like the one on the KTM. It just plugs right in and intercepts the signal from the O2 sensors. Was that the horsepower increase wasn't that high, but the torque was. I mean, it was like a 1.5 horsepower increase, but the torque was like 8 or 9 foot-pounds of difference, which was amazing, and definitely had me intrigued. Which makes me think, you know, I love comparing bikes that really have no business comparing each other. Which makes me think that this bike here could really compete against some bigger bikes. In you know, kind of a power to weight ratio, and man, I'm telling you, this is awesome. And I just saw a comment come through my phone. Well, this thing doesn't have cruise control, and you're right, it doesn't. It doesn't have cruise control, and that sucks. It's still a throttle by wire. I mean, by cable, not traditional throttle. So it's not a throttle by wire like the 390 is. So that does suck. But I mean, that's honestly, if I had to make a list of positives and negatives, the fact that it's made in China will be a negative, and the fact that you can't get cruise control, that'd be a negative. That's it. So far, I can't think of anything else. This parallel twin is freaking awesome. And we're still going to do a ton of comparisons, you know, comparing our 390 Enduro, comparing our 300L, and a mystery bike. Oh, this one always gets me. Oh, that front ABS was still engaged. That about took me over that little ledge there. Don't like front ABS off-road. That was not fun. But a mystery, another bike that's going to be a direct competitor, and it's going to have its own little project series. If I can get that, if I can get the deal closed on it, and it's going to be along the same lines as our KTM killer. but it's gonna be facing up against this bike here. So I'm really excited to try to get that deal closed and be able to announce that. Like I said, this this parallel twin, this thing is an absolute gem. Now again, if this bike didn't have this engine, if it just had a 390 or a 400 thumper, would it be as fun? Probably not. If the bike had this engine, but didn't have the package that it was in, didn't have the the electronics and the TFT and the seating position and the the quality suspension and everything else, would it be as fun? No, but it does. So that's the thing about this bike, is that there's no one thing that makes this bike just like, yeah, that's it. It's the whole package. It's the price. It's the engine. It's the suspension. It's the electronics. It's the looks. It's the seating position. It's the usability. This is just an absolute heck of a bargain. And look, okay, so I'm in third gear, going 14 miles an hour, feathering the clutch, going up this hill with all these little bumps, and this thing just said, okay, all right, come on, let's do it, let's go. It says keep it below 4,000 RPM for the first 300 miles. Didn't say how you use those 4,000 RPM. Oh man, this thing is so usable down low. I thought a big thumper was the way to go, but man, this parallel twin is the tits. And again, this is 100% stock. We do plan on modifying this bike, but we're going to leave it stock for a while. And, you may ask, why not get a Honda? Why not get a Kawasaki or a Suzuki or, anything else? Because they're not making this bike. Kawasaki, and they just literally like yesterday, or no, Friday, which is the 25th, 24th, just unveiled the KLE 500, which looks to be just the Ninja 500, which is really a 451, and a small adventure bike platform, and I'm really interested in that. I'm very, very interested in that. So much so that I already, told Team Charlotte Motorsports, I want the first one. We're already done with Trail C. That's fantastic. I already told Team Charlotte Motorsports, I want the first one. And they were going to make that happen. I was like, hey, I'll put a deposit on it. I'll do whatever I have to do. I want that first bike. And they said, no problem. They'll give it to me. Or, I can have the opportunity to buy it. So, guys, I'll tell you, that's 3 laps of Trail A, 1 lap of Trail C. Super torquey engine, really good suspension, bottomed out a couple times, but it's good KYB suspension, bottomed out a couple times, no big deal. And there were some pretty hard hits. Got the tires aired down to 20 PSI with the tubeless spoked wheels, which is awesome. You only see that on much higher end bikes. Look at that. Tubeless spoke wheels. That's all I got to carry is a patch kit. That's it. No carrying tubes or anything else. Just carry a patch kit. Now you might not be able to air them down as low as you could a tube tire or like a tubeless setup with the foam, the foam insert. But man, that's awesome. Let's walk around this thing. I love that headlight too. I love that running light. That looks really cool. Auto dimming TFT 5-inch TFT display. That skid plate's a joke. That skid plate's going to go. The J1 front brake, radial mounted master brake caliper. Dadgum. Feels very confidence inspiring. 430 pounds. I wish it had two rotors, and probably on road. I really want that, but off road, that single right there is perfectly fine. No issues whatsoever. Like I said, off road mode shuts off the rear ABS. You can slide the rear end around a little bit. Everything's 100% stock. Like I said, Cooper's got a DCAT and an LM device, but honestly, this thing sounds freaking awesome as it is now. So let's keep riding. Dadgum. Let's keep riding. This is awesome. Let's go do trail. What's that, trail E? What time we got? 8 o'clock. Shoot, we got time. Let's go ride trail E. My heated vest. Heated vest is working good. Holy crap. Probably need to turn that off. So again, the throttle is a little snatchy. Big ol' whoops. But the engine's so torquey down low that I ran that whole thing in 3rd gear, which is the same gear I run my 300L in. I can't run my 390 in it because it'll flame out all the time. I'm so intrigued by these inexpensive, you know, small displacement bikes. And this one being the the king of the crop right now. Man, what a blast. What a blast. Let's go to Trail E. Or whatever it's called now. But again, we're still taking it pretty easy. I ran C pretty spirited. But again, no crash bars, no hand guards, nothing. So I don't want to... I know I'll crash this thing eventually, but I don't want to crash it prematurely. How about that? That's a better way of saying it. But that third gear, man, that third gear is just so usable. The power band is just so usable, especially down low, for this off-road riding. But then the daggum thing will scream too. You look at a dyno chart, and we'll have some discussions about that in a future video. But you look at a dyno chart of this thing will scream. I don't think it'll rev like what a what a Versus 300 would, hint. But it'll still rev pretty good. Yeah, like I said, I definitely think the some better pegs, or taking the inserts out of these pegs, the rally seat would definitely help. I did adjust the throttle cables. I might have got them maybe a little bit too tight, or maybe not tight enough, which is supposed to take out some of that jerkiness out of the throttle. But again, like I said, my list of needs is very small. This far into the 390 Enduro, I already had a list of like 10 things that I wanted or needed to do to that thing. Yes, sir. Again, I hadn't even touched the suspension yet, so I don't even know where our settings are at. This was just, man, I just want to get out here and ride, and that's what we're doing, man. The characteristics of this bike are just so awesome. I've heard a lot about it, and I've read a lot of reviews and watched a lot of videos, but man, getting out here and riding it, this thing's awesome. And they're so inexpensive. Now, what's long-term reliability going to be? I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. I do know this 450 engine has been out for a couple years, and it doesn't seem to have any issues. Oh, there's a second gear. It doesn't seem to have any inherent issues. So I don't foresee any issues with it. How is long-term support going to be? I don't know. I could say the same thing about KTM. Unless you're buying one of the big four, you can't say how that's going to be. But right now, as of right now, October 26, 2025, none of the big four make this bike, so I don't have that option. Oh, there's a big rock. None of the big four make this bike. CF Moto was the first one to come to the market with something like this package. And man, I'm telling you, they knocked it out of the park. Let me stop. Ooh, a little squeaky. Squeaky, squeaky. Like I said, if you keep the key turned on, I gotta get a better setup for that. That's fine, it's working. Lower that down a little bit. Keep the key turned on, keeps your off-road mode on. And this thing's got so much power. Look, second gear. Disregard. Second gear takeoff. A little bit of clutch slippage. And we're off. Again, this thing, I mean, my initial impressions, this thing feels like a big dirt bike. It feels like a big dirt bike. 430 pounds. We're going to take a couple pounds off with some, with a lighter exhaust eventually and lithium battery. But then we're going to add some weight with a good skid plate and some good crash bars and things like that. So we're probably going to end up back about the same weight, if I had to take a guess. Maybe, 440, something like that, fully dressed out. Hadn't even looked at the you know, power to weight ratios and everything else. I don't care. I'm just out riding right now. I got plenty of time to look at that stuff. Winter's coming up, and we're gonna have some downtime. These trails close. These trails close. Look, that's still third gear. That's still third gear. Look at that. That's impressive. That's impressive. What a usable power band. And again, I've been sitting the whole time. I mean, I've stood it for a couple jumps or whatnot, but for the most part, I've been sitting the whole time. What just a usable power band. Man, they hit it out of the park with this. And you can tell that there was so much time and effort and research that went into this. It wasn't just you know, I don't think they ever made anything like this before, but it's not like they just said, hey, what do we think the consumers want? You can tell that there was a lot of research done on this bike as far as the seating position. You know, the engine characteristics, how it's tuned, you know, the layout of the display, you know, how the off-road mode engages. I mean, it just everything about this bike, you can tell it was just so much time and effort that went into the design of this bike. And I tell you, I am a fan. I am a fan. Is it going to be a forever bike? No, probably not. But that's okay. I don't keep any bike forever. I really don't. And I have smaller bikes. You know, T-dubs and 300Ls and 390 Enduros, and I've had bigger bikes. I've had a Transalp, and I just took a lost it there. Let's try this low speed stuff. Come on, there you go. Took a you know, Moto Guzzi V85 out of here last week. Had a Honda Transalp. I've had, you know, KTM 890 Adventure Rs. I've had BMW GSs and GS Adventures. I've had those big bikes. I don't want to do this is the kind of riding I want to do. I want to do off-road like this, but then maybe take it on a light tour. I'm not doing iron butts anymore. I'm not doing, you know, 5-day adventures. Now we are doing our Smoky Mountain 500, and this actually, hell, this will be a perfect bike for the Smoky Mountain 500. But this is the kind of riding I want to do. And those big bikes are just unwieldy off-road. Even that 890 Adventure R, which is more capable than I could ever do. And I got my buddy, you know, Keith Mitchell, and I'll try to link him on this video. He's got one, and he can do things that, I mean, I couldn't even dream of. A talented rider. I'm not. I'm a dude that runs a business, holds an elected office, church member. That I'm just out riding on the weekends. I'm riding because it's fun. I'm not riding to compete like he is around the country. I'm riding just because it's fun. And I got a couple hours on the weekend to ride, and that's all I'm gonna be able to do. So this bike has got more performance than I'll ever even be able to exploit. More or less something bigger. So why pay, you know, $15,000 for a 890 Adventure R when $6,500 will give me everything, or $7,100, whatever, will give me everything that I want in a package. That's what she said. Man, I tell you, this was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun. And again, this is probably a little bit longer than what I was anticipating. But man, there's just so much to talk about with this bike. And we got so many plans for it. Not only for this bike, but what can compete against this bike. And hint, we got some stuff already in the works. Ink hadn't even dried on the paperwork on this one. There's some jumps. Little jumps. That's probably the crappiest jump you've ever seen. But it's my jump, damn it. Don't have all day to ride. I got 2 hours. 2 hours to ride. And I got to get home and get ready for church. And I just feel blessed to be able to do these videos and to buy the bikes that I'm buying. And again, it's not YouTube money. It's definitely not YouTube money. It's my money. Will YouTube eventually pay? Hopefully. It's not right now. Man, this is so much fun. All right, guys, we're gonna pull in the parking lot, gather my thoughts, and I'll see you back in a minute. That on the big camera. So let's go do one more lap of A at a spirited pace. I got a little bit of time. All right. It's gonna be mostly second gear. A little bit spirited. Now that I've had a couple passes on A. A couple of jumps. Still in off-road mode. Stay in control. Oh, big jump. Down to second. Oh, heck yeah. Holy moly. 2026 CF Moto Ibex 450, the GOAT. Heck yeah. Oh, that was awesome. Let's wrap this up. All right, guys, so that's gonna wrap up our really, honestly, our true first ride. And we decided that our first ride was going to be off-road and just rip the absolute snot out of this thing. You know, we started off kind of easy, and then by the time we finished up, actually I was already done. I was like, you know what, I'm doing another lap. And actually I did 2 laps just to get some more footage. And I was just ripping the absolute snot out of this thing. Probably not 10 tenths, but I was probably riding 9 tenths to the limit, at least my limit on these tires here, and with the new bike and everything else. And I'm telling you, man, this thing, it just feels like a big dirt bike. But even then, when you're riding, it doesn't feel like a big dirt bike. It just feels like a dirt bike. And the parallel twin sound is just absolutely intoxicating. You know, I mostly rode in 3rd gear, even down to 2,000 or 3,000 RPM, and this thing just chugged and lugged right away. No issues, no flame outs, none of that stuff. It just ran, didn't have any issues. The brakes were awesome. The suspension was awesome. Only bottomed out a couple times, and that was really more my fault than anything else. But guys, I'm telling you, for the first off-road ride and impressions, this is a freaking awesome package right here. And I'm so impressed. Cannot wait to ride it some more. Can't wait to get it on the road and actually, you know, kind of do a road ride and do what 99% of the people who buy these bikes are going to do with them, and do more road riding. But you know, that's not what we bought it for. We bought it to rip and to just tear up. And man, it was a lot of fun. So again, if you see anything that you like, please like, comment, subscribe. I got a ton, I mean an absolute ton of content coming. I've got a list of about 50 different ideas for not only modifications and trips and everything else, but then also comparisons, direct comparisons between this bike here. You know, we got our Project KTM killer between our CRF 300L and our 390 Enduro R. Well, guess what? I've already got one worked out for this one right here. And it's gonna be awesome. I can tell you that, it's gonna be awesome. I've got a project for now, and then I got a project for spring, and it's gonna be absolutely awesome. So if you see anything that you like, comment, subscribe. Subscriptions are the absolute ultimate compliment to me. And if you, thank you guys for watching. Roll Tide, God bless, and remember, tomorrow needs you. Thanks, guys.